Thank you everybody for being here tonight. This is a presentation of my final presentation for Counselor Education 300. The course is basically a preparatory course for a career. It's an upper level undergraduate course that had a lot to offer for me in preparing me for a career, and looking to graduate this December now with my degree in individualized studies. So it's going to be basically an overview, this presentation, of what we went through this semester and some of the projects we worked on. So in moving forward here, what does it mean to be scholarly? Well, it means a lot of things to a lot of people. And a lot of people may have a definition of being scholarly as being formally educated. Not me necessarily. Just having general knowledge or an education in a field or within many fields, to me, makes you scholarly. Doesn't necessarily mean that you have to have a degree or went to a university. Possess a desire for higher learning would be one of my definitions of being scholarly. And one who thinks rather than acts as a response, first of all, which I can maybe criticize myself for not doing in the past, but patience. That's somebody who has an aptitude for patience and listening would be another definition or another term that I would use for someone who's scholarly. So, and also being objective. Objectivity is a word that I would use to define somebody that's scholarly. Who sees the situation for what it is rather than how it should be, and can make adjustments or rectify a problem if necessary. And like I said, a lot of people may believe that you need to have a degree or a formal education in college to be a scholar. I don't think that's necessarily true. I've learned a lot in my life in the different jobs I've held. I'm in my 40s now, and quite frankly in my upper 40s. And I've had several jobs and have not graduated from college yet. And like I said, I'm hoping to do that this semester. So, but I've learned a lot from every job I've had. And in my years at the mill, a lot of mechanical applications I've learned, and now I'm working for a car dealership, automobile dealership, and a whole different set of skills go along with that. So, yeah, I think being scholarly does not necessarily mean that you have to have a formal education. Moving on here, everyday hero traits. Everybody who knows here has ever heard the term everyday hero. Anybody here? Everyday hero. For me, an everyday hero, some people think a hero has to mean you're a lifesaver. Superman swooping down and thwarting the efforts of Lex Luthor. I don't believe in that you have to be a hero by saving somebody's life. You don't have to sacrifice your own life to save somebody's life. There's a lot of everyday heroes. My definition for an everyday hero, probably one that comes first to mind and foremost in mind is a teacher. Somebody who had a major impact or influence on you that helped you with direction in life and kind of enlightened you with maybe how you wanted to progress through life. Somebody that has an interest in assisting with positive solutions and making positive outcomes for you. Someone who is willing to share the wealth of knowledge freely with somebody without asking anything in return for it. So that's my definition of an everyday hero trait of a scholar. My academic and professional plan. Well, as we all know, I kind of, and I'll go to the bottom here first, I was a victim of never having an academic plan. Had no direction after high school, didn't know what I wanted to do, went to college because I felt that my brother did, and everybody I knew was going to college, and I thought it was the thing to do. I did not know where I wanted to go in life or what direction I wanted to take. And that's okay, that's fine, but I think there's a lot of pressure put on people at times to think that they need to graduate from college with a degree. That's not necessarily true. You have to find your own way. Being productive is the main thing. My academic plan now is almost fulfilled. After many, many years, hopefully this semester here I'll be graduating with a degree in individualized studies and apply that to somehow in the automobile dealership that I'm currently working at, and eventually parlay that into owning my own automobile dealership and providing services and sales for my local area, so where I live. That's my professional plan right now. Keep working in the automobile industry for the next couple of years, and then hopefully roll that over into doing something for myself someday down the road here. So, and part of the course, the curriculum in the course in CE 300 was to discuss potential social justice and multicultural challenges that we may face in our careers. Really, I don't know that there's a lot with automobile dealing, other than doing the research. Is quite helpful. I've never been really exposed to this or knew that it existed in our area, in the Winona area. But predatory financing, apparently nationwide, it is a major problem, and it does not necessarily have to do with race. It has more so to do with people of low incomes. A lending institution basically takes advantage of people that are on the lower scale of income earning. And it's kind of unfair. In fact, they take advantage of those people that can least afford it. So, that was one thing in studying for this course that really kind of resonated with me. And one of the things that I felt that it's a social justice issue. I've never witnessed the practice occurring at the dealerships I've worked for, and I hope it never does. I don't agree with it. Sometimes you may not have control over it, but I don't know that it's such a big issue in this area. So nationally, the exposure rate is higher in the African American and Latino populations, for whatever that's worth. But communications may also be a barrier, a cultural barrier in automobile sales. I have run into that a little bit. We do have a Latino population, a fairly high Latino population in the area, especially in the Arcadia area, and there might be some breakdown in communications from time to time in trying to sell a vehicle or provide assistance for clients that don't speak English or speak English real well. So in the negotiation process of selling a car. So that's basically the only other area that I can recognize as being a multicultural challenge for my profession. So, how would being educated affect me socially, financially, and professionally? Education for me, it affects it in a lot of different ways, and with my family as well. Education socially, I think it builds confidence and competence when you're engaging in discussion or interacting with people in public. I think you have a wider array of knowledge. It basically perhaps gives you a little bit more confidence when discussing issues with people or topics with people. And for myself, as some of you know already, it has elicited an interest in political activities. You may be more interested in the environment around you that impact or affect you from time to time with legislation and laws. And I think that's another way that it could affect me. And also my children, witnessing the success or failures that I've had, hopefully successes with being educated and ascending in a professional career. Hopefully that transcends to them sometime down the road, and they see and recognize that and kind of adopt the same sort of attitudes and behaviors from that. Financially, obviously, education hopefully kind of translates to having a better job and hopefully a better salary or wage. That's kind of on a basic level, I guess. A better standard of living, perhaps. Maybe more competence with investments, and allow you an ability to save for the future and perhaps a better standard of living, more vacation, so on and so forth. So, and professionally, a higher propensity to attain a career that is desirable and rewarding. So those are ways as far as professionally that it may affect my profession. Moving on here, one of the most interesting modules that we had to do throughout the semester was we studied Erik Erikson stages of development, and how do they apply to my life? Well, Erik Erikson, for those of you that don't know, was a psychologist and studied under Sigmund Freud. He was an ego psychologist and somewhat deviated from Freud, that he felt that development was more impacted and more relevant to social issues and exposures than sexually. And Freud was kind of focused on more of the impact of a sexual nature. It had to do with development. In the 8 stages of development for the Erikson theory, I kind of identify myself mainly with being in stage 7. And stage 7 is basically generativity versus stagnation. What does generativity mean? Well, it means you have a more sense of caring and giving versus stagnation. And right now, I think a sense of earning in my 40s is pretty prominent on my stage of development and how I feel. I don't want to be stagnant. I have a family. I hope to help provide for them, and that's kind of where I associate myself being on the Erikson stages of development at this point in time. A couple of things of the Erikson theory. Failure to complete or resolve an issue in a prior stage may greatly affect your ability for a healthy personality in the future or at latter stages. And I kind of think that that sort of resonated with me as well, because in the past, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I couldn't find a solution for myself as where I wanted to go in school and what type of education I wanted to get. And I think there was a lot of similarities with or a lot of things that I could relate to in that thought of Erikson's theory anyway. So, moving on. During the course of the curriculum here, our book that we referenced to was Luck is No Accident, Making the Most of Happenstance in Your Life and Career. And there's a couple of stories that in the book that I could relate to really well. One of them was keep learning practical skills to deal with poverty. It was the story of Beverly Potter. She was a young lady that grew up in a poor household, didn't have a father early on in life or very shortly after her life started, had to move forward, did things out of necessity, learned how to make things out of necessity, and aspired and did well financially for herself, and made the best of the situation at the time. And I can relate to that. Hopefully a lot of people can, but I think it's very relevant to my life anyway. And the last would be the story of Jill by Lee Weimers. Jill was a person that was very focused, graduated with a degree in engineering, following after her father, realized that she didn't like the career that she had chosen in engineering, didn't like the profession, and ended up following up another career with basically looking for extraterrestrial life with SETI. And I thought that kind of related or resonated with me anyway, with the fact that it's never too late to change. So that's something that everybody can kind of hold on to, and you're never too late. Knowledge is never wasted, and move forward with your life. If you need to make a change, then making a change is not always a bad thing. So with that, I will be taking any questions that you may have. So thank you for attending.